the protocol, she seemed like she was 100%. She was going on 5-mile walks. I'm like, my goodness, she is just like prime again.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's CARNIVORA.com.
And welcome back. George Norrie with you, along with Sean McNamara. We're going to tell you about one of his new books called Mindsight in just a moment. Sean, so we were talking about the one versus the many, and I think a strong one, like a Jesus, could do incredible things. What are your thoughts?
Definitely a strong person like that can do it. The way a group can do it, as a group, if there is no one strong enough, the reason they can do it is because they let go. If they're self-conscious about doing it in a group lets them let go of their self-consciousness, because they figure maybe someone else in the group can do this for all of us. Or maybe as a group together, our combined energy and intention and love can reach the effect that we're trying to get. And that letting go of their personal responsibility is actually helpful in that case. It's if you think about people doing a spoon bending party, for example, a lot of people are successful when they're not focusing on their own spoon that they're trying to bend, but they're looking at other people having success, and then before they know it, the spoon they're holding in their own hand has melted by itself. And it's because they let go of that self-consciousness. So that's how a group can do it if no one in particular is strong, like a Jesus figure.
Geller was on The Tonight Show years ago, and they basically had Carson getting him and the amazing Randy, and he could not bend spoons. He was too nervous.
Yeah.
And he thought it would destroy his career, and instead he got a call from Mike Douglas to be on his show the next day, and his career just kept exploding. It was crazy and ironic how it worked out for him.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out that way. I'd seen a recording of that interview, and I could tell what was happening. It was sabotage.
Yeah, they ganged up on it.
Yeah. And that'll crush a person trying to activate their psychic potential. Stress is terrible for it.
You have tapped into remote viewing. You even used it to win the lottery.
Yeah, in 2019, me with a group of my friends, we won the Pick 3 lottery. So it's not the big lottery. It's a really small jackpot.
You didn't win $10 million in Powerball, or
no, that'd be nice. We're working on it. But we're just getting ready by training with these small lotteries. So in Colorado, there's the Pick 3 lottery where you get 3 out of 10 potential numbers. And if you just spend $1 on a ticket, the jackpot's $80. So nobody's getting rich. But the lottery is useful because it serves as a random number generator, so nobody's in control, nobody can predict what's going to happen in other ways. You know, you can't fake it, but it's a great target. So I formed a team of friends who are all interested in remote viewing, and I taught them some remote viewing. And then several months apart, we won, and we used a structure that other people have used, and it's called associative remote viewing. So for example, if I want to know if the number 1 is going to be drawn in tomorrow's lottery, I'm going to assign a picture. Let's say it's a picture of the Hollywood sign. And if the number 1 is drawn, I'm going to show the remote viewer that picture of the Hollywood sign the next day. If the number 1 is not drawn, then I'm going to show the remote viewer a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. So what that remote viewer has to do today is draw a picture of the picture I'm going to show them tomorrow after the lotto drawing. So they're sending their mind into the future. And based on what they draw on the piece of paper, if it looks like the Hollywood sign, I know that they're seeing the future, that that's the picture I'm going to show them because the number 1 was drawn. And so now I know that the number 1 is one of the winning numbers. And so we did that with a team of friends. And we didn't get the numbers exactly. We got several more than just 3 potential winning numbers, but we bought a combination of tickets both times so that one of those tickets had all 3 winning numbers on it. and it worked. And we've also lost. It wasn't just 100%. We lost a bunch, or several times we got 2 out of 3 numbers. That it proves the principle that time, this thing about the past, present, and future, is a lot more fluid. It's all here in the present, or it's accessible in the present moment with someone who's trained their mind to gather information that way.
You've got a book called Mind Sight, Training to See Without Eyes, pilot program for adults. Tell me about that.
So if you remember from Caroline's movie, Superhuman, there's a section on children who had these blindfolds on, and they could read books and play games, and they're basically seeing the world around them without their eyes. Well, adults can learn to do it too, but it's a lot more difficult. And I started training myself early last year, because I saw on Facebook other adults were learning how to do it, and I was inspired. So I started working on it on my own. I couldn't go to any of the classes. There are classes around the world that are offered, and there's just a handful of them, but they're very expensive. They're very hard to get to. I thought, I'm going to figure this out. And I started having some experiences with it, where I could perceive colors and shapes without using my eyes, by using a blindfold, and sometimes in a completely pitch black room, so you don't even need light to do it. You just need to practice a lot, because the body or the mind knows other ways of perceiving. So I wanted to make this more accessible to people, because there are only a couple of really good books about it. They were written 50 and 75 years ago or older.
Have things changed that much?
No, I don't think so. The communication has changed, and I think part of it is because of using the internet and YouTube and websites and recording inductions or meditations. All of this makes the training a lot easier, because people can download from the book's website ways to meditate, to open their mind. So when a book was written 50 years ago, it was just, you had to read it and figure it out for your own, in your own way, and work at it. But the instructions, again, weren't that great. So when I write books, I make it my mission to make the instructions crystal clear, so that a person can train themselves without depending on someone else.
How do you see without eyes?
Well, it's about training, I believe, it's about training the brain to translate information in new ways. So there are 2 different hypotheses, at least that I hold. One is that it's possible that the skin around your body and on your face and hands and arms, that it can actually perceive light. And it's just about training the mind that when you expose your skin, let's say to the color blue, it's actually, your skin could receive it a certain way, but then it's about telling your brain, this is what blue feels like. For me, when I work with the color red, for example, it often gives me a headache in different parts of my skull. It'll even give me a toothache. Sometimes colors have emotions to them, and eventually with continued practice, the brain starts producing a color in the mind, in the visual cortex or other parts of the brain. It's about training it to say, when you experience this through the skin, produce this color. So it's a long, gradual process. It can take years, and I consider myself a beginner. But I'm an experienced teacher, so I thought, I'm not going to wait for 10 more years to pass until I'm an expert. I'm going to put down what I know now in a book so people can start training themselves now. The other hypothesis beyond the skin is that it's not physical at all, that it's about pure consciousness. Now, of course, the consciousness has to communicate with the physical brain, because while we're awake, we are operating in the world through our brain. So the brain and non-physical consciousness, or you could call it your soul or your higher self, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, that's out there extending in the world and perceiving, and then communicating with the brain and saying, hey, this is the color red, or this is a circle, or this is a, whatever your target is. Somehow, some part of you, either physical or non-physical, is perceiving the world beyond the body, and then coming back and telling the brain, this is what it is. And I like to think of this example that for blind people, for visually impaired people, there's a device that they can buy, and it's a computer attached to a camera so the visually impaired person would wear these glasses. They have a camera on them that look out in front. And that camera talks to a computer, and then the computer is attached to this device that the person wears. They put it on their tongue.
On their tongue?
Yeah. The tongue is such a sensitive organ. And so while they're wearing these glasses with the camera on them, the computer is translating the visual imagery into electrical stimulus that they feel on their tongue. And over time, the brain starts to translate that information from the tongue into visual images.
That's amazing.
So,
Is it the technology or the individual that's making this happen?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Is it the technology or the individual that makes this happen?
Well, the technology provides the new signals that are being sent to the tongue, that it's the person's brain that is translating those signals into visual images.
Are you a contactee, Sean?
Oh boy, that's a deep one. But I have to say yes, in different ways. Something happened after I had been having out-of-body experiences and lucid dreams for a while. I think doing that opened me up. Because I started having experiences in the middle of the night, and I would have to say it was in an in-between space, maybe a consciousness space, where at one point I could see it being in the room for a moment, and then it was gone. And eventually the experience got more intense where I would become conscious while my eyes were closed, but I became conscious. My body was asleep and my mind was awake, and right in my mind's eye was the face of an ET looking right at me. And it was clear in this instance that I was not in control, that this being was in my field of awareness.
Is it possible that you summon them in your out-of-body state?
Well, not consciously, but maybe, I know some people might say, well, perhaps there was a past life connection. Maybe I set this up with them before I was born. I don't know for sure. I think all of the psychic training that I'd done had opened me up in a way. Maybe it was just a signal. Maybe to them, my mind, they could just tell that here's a human being whose mind is a little bit more open to non-physical experiences or to non-ordinary experiences. So they start coming into my space. So I had this experience of the being looking right at me that was, I wouldn't call it comfortable. And I've had another experience that was quite intimate, and that was intrusive, but kind of pleasurable too, but very strange. All of these occurred in the psychic space. So it's hard to say, was this real or not real? And I wanted to know, is any of this really real? So I followed that up by going to a weekend workshop in Crestone, Colorado with Ricardo Gonzalez and Paula Harris. And for those who don't know, Ricardo Gonzalez is from Peru, and he's a contactee.
Yeah, he's good, and Paula's been on our show many times.
He receives messages from them. They tell him when they're going to show up, and he has been surrounded by journalists and other people. And these craft show up on schedule when they tell them they're going to be there. And so I learned about him and said, I'm going to go, because if I see these things in the sky with a group of people while we're all wide awake, then I'll know that it's probable or likely that what I experienced in the in-between state in my own condo, that was real too. So it all followed along in this trajectory, first experiencing it in my room in this in-between space, and then going out with a group of people and seeing them in the night sky.
Did you ever feel violated or used by ETs?
I wonder about that. When I had this intimate contact with one, it was physically intimate, but it was confusing for me. But it didn't seem aggressive. It didn't seem negative.
Not out to hurt you?
Not out to hurt me. Just, it was more like a communication. It was quite lovely, actually. Before I went on the weekend with Ricardo Gonzalez, actually, another thing that spurred that on, the desire to be there, is one afternoon I went to the Botanic Gardens. Denver has a lovely Botanic Gardens, and I was just exhausted by life. I was stressed out, and I spent the day laying in the grass there just looking at the sky. And then eventually my wife came and joined me. We were laying down in the grass on the side of a hill, looking straight up at the blue sky. And she said, "Hey, do you see that thing way up there?" And I looked, and where she was pointing, and there was an object up there. Beautiful,
Wow.
green opalescent object, very high up in the sky. And we looked at it for about 20 minutes, and sometimes it would fade out and then come back. And not a clockwork. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't automated. It was something that was coming and going on its own time. And my wife is very level-headed, and she wasn't willing to say for sure that this was an ET craft. But I had a feeling, and I was willing to think that. And what was strange was for the week after that, I felt a sense of grace. Like something had affected me. Something had come through in that experience, and I felt different, and it was actually positive.
Is it ongoing?
No, it faded away. It faded away. As much as I wanted to hang on to it, which really makes these things difficult, because there's always that part of my brain or my mind or my personality that questions all these things I've experienced. Did any of it really happen? Even to this day when I have experiences, part of me wants to say that was just a random event. It was just luck, or it's not what you think it was. So I'm always fighting a struggle, because I don't want to just blindly believe all these experiences I've had, but I also don't want to doubt them 100%. So I'm stuck in this in-between place.
Still, at this point, you are?
I have to admit it. I'm just really thick-headed. They maybe accuse me from losing my mind altogether, because it really shows that this is a really, really wondrous, immense, limitless universe, and there's so much about it that we don't know. And maybe out of a sense of security, I need to limit how much I open myself to that, and maybe just having these doubts is a way of putting a protective limit.
How many books have you written so far?
I think I've written 5. I've got a couple on telekinesis, a couple on psychic perception, and Renegade Mystic is my memoir, which includes instructions for lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences. But that's the one that really, there's even a picture in there. I had an artist draw my intimate experience with the alien. It ties it all together, what these experiences mean for me.
All right, Sean, stay with us. We're going to come back and take phone calls with you next. Plus, I want to get into your thoughts about psychic abilities. Can they be misled?
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to coasttocoastam.com.
Hey, if you're wasted, what are you doing going on television?
Or the radio, for that matter.
Or the radio, for that matter.
Jerry and Shannon. Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
IQ Air wants to give you the cleanest air possible, and the affordable Autumn series does just that.
The Autumn Desk is a revolutionary air purifier that transforms your workspace into personal clean air zones.
Unlike other air filtration systems that may take hours to purify the air, the Autumn Desk begins working immediately.
Put it right next to you while you work and create your own personal bubble of ultra-pure air.
This game-changing technology has been proven to remove 99% of all airborne pollutants.
Visit IQAir.com/US to learn more. Give them a call, 800-500-4AIR, 800-500-4247.
Contractor license 1047-781.
Kenny, it's Ken. What's the deal with the flashlight? What do you mean? Like on our billboards and on our trucks and stuff. That kid with the flashlight is me, Zach. Explain that to me. My dad was a big-time expert. So back when I was in grade school, he would always take me with him on repair calls at night. Made you hold the flashlight, didn't he? Yeah, and he would always explain to me how he diagnosed the problem. That's a good dad, that's what that is. And then he would show me the right way to fix it, not the easy way. So that flashlight is a symbol, huh? That flashlight says an expert will always see the problem that the other guys can't see. That's why you make sure all our guys are experts. Yeah, and when you repair things the right way, not the easy way, you're like that beam of light. Always doing the right thing for the customer. That's what the flashlight means, Zach. Thanks for telling me, Ken. Gettle, Goettl. We know our business, and we know it well.
The Delta variant is making COVID-19 spread faster and more easily. Variants can be more contagious, aggressive, and deadly. But we know vaccines work. Vaccinated Californians have greater protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. We can help stop the spread and end this pandemic. Get vaccinated and wear a mask when it can protect you and others. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
We're not just in smart speakers. We're in a couple of smart ears as well.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County.
It's time for your morning wake-up call. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lake.
So it was weird. I woke up this morning, walked into the bathroom, and I thought, what is that? There was this weird tapping on the skylight. Is it a burglar up there? Was gravel being spit on my roof? Wait, what? What is that wet stuff falling from the sky? Rain, you say? Wow, that was nice and welcome to wake up to. I mean, if you went to bed last night, you probably had a thunder show or a lightning show kind of illuminating your house, but no rain. And so I went to bed, fingers crossed, but still then, you know, had a few hours in between the time I went to sleep and woke back up, and there it was. Surprised the heck out of me. It was great. Now, while we loved that part of it, at least I did, the beaches were cleared. As soon as that lightning started, they went, oof, everybody off the beach. So we'll talk more about what the situation is this morning. The CEO of Amplify Energy says he wasn't informed of the leak of their pipeline off the coast of Huntington Beach until Saturday morning, but some local lawmakers say, meh, I think they may have known sooner. We'll find out why. And finally, I didn't know it was 40 draws, but after 40 unsuccessful draws, we finally have a winner in the Powerball lottery, and the winner is from right here in California. I'll tell you where. 5:05, we'll talk with ABC's Aaron Katursky, and oh dear Lord, it took a while, but Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram appear to be working again after an outage yesterday that one industry expert I read described as Facebook basically locked its keys in its car. We'll talk with Aaron more about that in just a second. Let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Oh yeah, that unfamiliar sound. Thunder, lightning, and rain swept across SoCal last night. Beaches were cleared, as was the field at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood at the start of the Chargers-Raiders game. Now, the National Weather Service says while storms brought some needed rain, it was well under an inch in most places. But you know what? I'm going to be an optimist here. Any rain is good rain, right? And I think we've got more on the way Thursday. The CEO of the company behind the pipeline leak in OC says he's been trying to find out what went wrong.
Martin Wilshire's with Amplify Energy and says they run regular tests on the pipes that go from their oil platforms to the shore.
You clean it weekly to remove any paraffin or anything else that may build up.
Wilshire says they also do biannual inspections on the integrity of the lines.
In 9 years of running the asset, we've never seen any degradation of the pipe from the inside.
He said yesterday his divers were trying to pinpoint the cause of the break, which could include structural failure or a ship's anchor hitting it. And when asked if his company was going to compensate people and businesses for losses,
whatever needs to be done, we will take care of it.
Pete Gregory, KFI News.
Wildlife crews are working hard to save the animals affected by the oil spill. 4 birds have been recovered, and 1 has died. Dr. Michael Ziccardi with the Oiled Wildlife Care Center says the number of birds in the area affected by the spill is lower than they expected.
We're cautiously optimistic related to the number of animals that might be affected at this point.
Planes will fly over the area daily to look for animals that are hurt. Now, the OCDA says there will be consequences for whomever is to blame for the oil spill.
DA Todd Spitzer says state and federal prosecutors accepted his offer to send a team of investigators to help look into what caused the spill.
The Orange County District Attorney's Office is deeply concerned about the wildlife impact that has occurred on our shores and the economic impact to our community. And somebody's going to pay for that, criminally or civilly.
It's unclear if the spill itself was in the DA's jurisdiction, which extends 3 miles off Orange County's shoreline. In Huntington Beach, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
Well, the number of people in the hospital with COVID-19 in LA County is down, but health officials say transmission of the virus still is at a high level. The latest data shows 768 COVID-positive patients were hospitalized yesterday. That's down from 790 Sunday. 227 of them were in ICU. Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer says while the trend is encouraging, there are millions of residents in the county who are still unvaccinated. The Orange County Sheriff's Department has started to outfit deputies with body-worn cams. Deputies at the Yorba Linda station are the first to get the video equipment. The department plans to roll out more than 1,000 cameras by the end of next year. And oh, somebody won so big. A single ticket sold in Central California is the big winner of the nearly 700,000 or 7,000. That'd be a weenie win. $700 million in the Powerball. The winning ticket in last night's draw was sold at a grocery store in Morro Bay. You been to Morro Bay recently? The person who won will be able to choose between the annual annuity option paid over 29 years or the cash option of $496 million. You ever thought about that? What would you do? Over 29 years or the cash option? Both options are subject to taxes. Well done. It was the first winning ticket after 40 draws by a winner, and the winning numbers were, just in case, 12, 22, 54, 66, 69, and the Powerball was 15. When we come back, we'll talk with ABC's Aaron Katursky about what shut down social media yesterday. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Nick Paleocchini, did you survive?
It was the most amazing digital detox ever. Loved every minute of it.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is great.
I didn't pick up my phone once for 7 hours. It was amazing.
It did feel really good. I'm with you on the cleanse. All right, what's up on the 215?
Checking the drive deep in the Inland Empire through Moreno Valley, northbound side of the 215. Going to be slow going for you right now from Alessandro past the bridge of the 60 toward UTR. Knock on wood, nothing reported in lanes, but definitely seeing some heavy delays for you there. Westbound side of the 91, Riverside through Corona. Heavy stretches of slowing for you from before Magnolia as you make way past Green River. That's the usual. Got problems for you in the Orange County area on the northbound side of the 405 or westbound 22 in Seal Beach. Seal Beach Boulevard. Looks like you got a wreck that has the right lane taken away. That's going to cause some delays for you coming off the 22 westbound from before the merge of the 405. And same story for the 405 northbound coming up on the 22. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Paleocchini.
506 on your wake-up call. Aaron Katursky, are you there?
I am.
You survived. You made it.
I know. I had to listen to the radio to get the information though yesterday.
What?
The ratings, I think, were bananas for KFI yesterday.
My favorite meme yesterday was a picture of the family from Little House on the Prairie, and it says what we all look like when social media goes down. And I thought, that is awesome. It's so true. So
and so true, right? Like it was for many it was a welcome reprieve. I mean, for others it was a scary disruption in commerce, in politics, and it really did remind everybody how Facebook and its related apps have come to, dominate much of our lives, and not necessarily, meaning it in a pejorative, evil way, but like that's a primary means of communication for a lot of people these days. And when it was absent, it was certainly noticeable, and it couldn't have come at a worse time for Facebook, given the questions it's facing, in other aspects of its business.
Oh, absolutely. It was just yesterday that we started hearing from the whistleblower, Frances Hogan, and she's that former Facebook employee who gave the Wall Street Journal all the documents that exposed the company's awareness of what it's done, what some of its harms, I guess, have been. And Facebook, of course, was like, wait, what? No, this is untrue and whatever. Then the outage happened. I mean, it was, talk about crappy timing.
Well, a lot of people instantly thought, oh, this must have been, some kind of hack or retaliation or something. Facebook said it was nothing of the kind. No user data was compromised. They blamed some kind of faulty network configuration. And best we can tell, there was something wrong with Facebook's underlying internet infrastructure that caused data centers to stop talking to each other, and for several hours caused the apps not to work. Thankfully, that came back online last evening, although even this morning some of those apps may still be a bit slow to repopulate.
One of my favorite industry analysts kind of analysis of what happened yesterday was Facebook locked its keys in its car. That was the best analogy that he could give.
Well, that may be apt. We actually heard that a lot of Facebook employees couldn't get in the building, couldn't even, their key cards stopped working. So it really did seem to affect everything at Facebook, and that's rare. As big as it is, it does not tend to go down like that very often. The last big outage, I think, was 2010.
So could there be a bit of a silver lining yesterday, or what could we learn from this kind of thing? In that if Facebook is this big and we all rely on it so much, and if Facebook goes down, we all run over to Instagram and WhatsApp, like, oh my God, are these social media sites down? Then they too go down. Does that show that the interconnectivity is just too vulnerable and that maybe things need to be a little more separate, or that something needs to be looked into?
That's the argument from the Federal Trade Commission, that as they've sought to rein Facebook in, and there's active court going on, active litigation, I should say, going on, because certainly the Federal Trade Commission believes that Facebook is too big, and it has become too dominant in human activity for its own good and for our own good. I think Facebook would disagree. There's also, of course, the regulatory aspect, and Congress is going to deal with that today through the whistleblower testimony as to whether Facebook, because it's so dominant, does it have a responsibility to behave differently than it has? And these are all sort of questions that are out there, and no one's really found the formula for where lines should be drawn.
All right, well, this is one to definitely keep up on, because I feel like almost the follow-up is going to be more important than the actual outage itself. Although, if you looked at Zuckerberg's net worth yesterday, did you see he took a hit of, what was it, like $6 billion in one day?
In wealth based on the drop in Facebook stock. Although I don't think he's going to need to put the tin cup out just yet.
You mean we don't have to start a GoFundMe for him today?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. And I don't know if GoFundMe works, so, whatever.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. I'm glad you made it through, and I'm glad I'm going to get to see dog pictures and you and the fam again.
See you later.
Bye. ABC's Aaron Katursky. Did you also see that Facebook's ad revenue? Just guess how much in ad revenue it lost. $545,000 per hour during the outage. Per hour. Ugh, crazy money. Speaking of crazy money, some of the other stories we're watching, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is setting up a vote for tomorrow to advance a bill to suspend the federal debt limit.
We aren't asking Republicans to support it when it comes times for a vote. We only ask that they get out of the way. As Democrats pass it on our own, just as the majority party did in the early 2000s.
60 senators will have to support the bill to suspend the debt ceiling through December of next year. If the debt limit is not raised by October 18th, the U.S. will default on its debt for the first time ever. California is among the 5 top states that accept the most Afghan refugees. The other states include Texas, New York, Michigan, and Arizona. The State Department says it works with private organizations to help vet the needs of refugees and tries to find the state that best suits their needs. Officials say they also look at the community's infrastructure, including health providers, schools, and housing. Well, the LA City Council is expected to consider getting contractors or consultants to help it set up a public bank. A motion to do so was originally tabled in 2019 by Councilman Mike Bonin and Paul Koretz. Bonin says a public bank is essential to help LA build back from the pandemic and the recession. The Justice Department says it's going to start addressing threats of violence against public school employees. ABC's Andy Fields says the federal officials have reported an increase in threats against school board members and teachers across the country.
We know who you are. U.S. Justice Department saying those threats to public servants are illegal and threaten American core values. Justice asking the FBI to work with local police to investigate and prosecute those suggesting violence.
The National School Boards Association says there were more than 20 cases of harassment and intimidation against school staff last week. Says many of the attacks are because of COVID-19 safety policies. Britney Spears thanked her fans who have been supporting her through her conservatorship case against her dad. She posted on social media yesterday for the first time since a judge suspended her father, Jamie Spears, as conservator last week. Spears thanked the Free Britney movement for its constant resilience and says she cried for hours in gratitude. And then there was a post that came out last night, which was a picture of Britney, so the back of her, Her hair's kind of up in a messy bun. She's wearing knee-high red boots, no top, and red, like a red bikini bottom that she kind of appears to be pulling down. And it says something like, here it is, basically you can kiss it. Wow. When we come back, we'll talk with Mandy Evans, the executive director of the Better Together Animal Alliance. Now, you probably heard stories of people returning animals to shelters after they adopted them at the start of the pandemic, and that was the fear that a lot of shelters had, like, oh no, we could have all this overcrowding from returned animals. Well, LA County has a new plan to combat that. So we'll talk with her in just a second. Right now, Nick's looking at this crash in Seal Beach on the 405.
It's on the northbound side near Seal Beach Boulevard. Middle lanes are blocked, or maybe the right lane. Either way, you're seeing a busy drive heading westbound along the 22 from before the merge with the 405. 405 north itself really not looking too bad as you come upon the 22 merge. You've got an update on this or anything else slowing you down. Pound 250 on the cell phone. Keyword is KFI traffic. Westbound 91, Riverside to Corona. Heavy stretches of slowing for you, just getting heavier as the morning continues on from before La Sierra as you make way past Green River, Moreno Valley, 215 north. Seeing a rough go of it for you as well from Alessandro, passing the merge of 60 toward UCR. And beyond that to the Riverside Interchange, actually not looking like too bad of a drive. Checking in on your drive in the LA County area, believe it or not, that's pretty quiet for the moment. Not seeing anything major going down for the drive, with the exception of a minor problem for you on the southbound side of the 605. As you make your way past the 5, looks like it's an early right cleared from lane. Seeing delays for you as you come away from Telegraph. KFI and the Sky helps get to there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
The Medicare annual enrollment period is right around the corner. It starts October 15th. Navigating Medicare can simply be overwhelming. It's complicated stuff, which is why I'm suggesting you call AGA Medicare Option. Their team of experienced agents will advise you step by step on a plan that fits your unique situation and budget. We're all different, and the plans change year to year and sometimes significantly. AGA will compare most of the major plans at once. No cost to you. They'll help you find plans that are accepted by your physician, cover your medications at the lowest out-of-pocket cost. And even if you're already on Medicare, set up a benefit review anyway to ensure you're still on the best plan, and it is free. Call, set up your free consultation, dial pound 250 on your cell and say the keyword My Medicare, pound 250 on the cell and say My Medicare, or visit AGAMedicareOptions.com, AGAMedicareOptions.com.
This report is sponsored by Audible. This fall, Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy to motivation to the latest bestsellers. Find it all at Audible with audiobooks, exclusive originals, and popular podcasts. Start listening free when you sign up at audible.com.
This is former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by DuckDuckGo. BookieBets led all MLB jersey sales for the second consecutive year. The Dodgers accounted for 4 of the top 10 most popular jerseys. The Chargers spoiled the Raiders' perfect start at SoFi Stadium. It was a bizarre start. There was a weather delay in a $5 billion indoor stadium. And after the game, Bolts defensive star Joey Bosa slammed the officiating crew, saying, quote, "You're blind. Open your eyes and do your job." I'm Missy Jordan.
What is it that makes you uniquely you? Well, DuckDuckGo doesn't think that's any of their business. And frankly, it shouldn't be the business of any tech company. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
Hey, it's Dean Sharp. You know, with energy costs rising and temps getting warmer and electric vehicles here to stay, I can't believe how many homes still don't have solar. Now, granted, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so my solar company, Sunlux, asked me to clear some of it up. First, solar doesn't cost you money. It saves you money. A lot of money. Second, it doesn't matter where your panels are made. What matters is who makes them. And finally, you hear about some system out there for $29.95, but that is not what is going to end up on your home. You know, it means something to me that all the partners at Sunlux left top-tier positions at other solar companies. Why? To do solar better. It's why Sunlux is an LG and Tesla platinum contractor. The best systems, the best battery solutions, the best service, the best warranty, and a solar company who is straight with you from day one. Hey, it's time for solar. Get started today at sunlux.com. That's sunlux.com, sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com.
With your doctor to ask, I have EPI.
Sponsored by AbbVie. Oh man, just wait till you get that September electric bill day. It was hot and sunny all month. Kids are doing their schoolwork on the computers. You're using more appliances because you cook so much.
I do cook much. Bottom line is, everybody uses more energy, right? But listen, since I switched to SolarMax technology, I can keep cool, I can run the appliances, leave all the computers on, the cell phones charged, everything. Because with SolarMax, my electricity is practically free.
SolarMax is local. They're right here in Southern California. They have the best products and service going.
Took the words right out of my mouth. SolarMax does everything themselves right here in Southern California. Exceptional quality control and no middleman. I save even more with no upfront cost. Plus, they've got the newest, most innovative Tesla products, like the Tesla 420 panels and Powerwall.
Right now, pay $0 down for that Tesla package and $79.96 per month with a 1.99% APR.
Dial pound 250 from your cell and say SolarMax. That's pound 250, keyword SolarMax, by October 31st with this great offer. Monthly payment available on approved credit, CSLB, and 9/16 rate. When it comes to keeping you safe, Bay Alarm brings the best. Owned and celebrating 75 years of professional personal service that's second to none. Bay Alarm, celebrating your past, securing your future. ACO2 ATCL 880138. I went to pick up lunch. I'm carrying the bag out with me, and I got 2 steps from the door, and I pulled the mask off. A middle-aged, thin, frizzy-haired woman who sounded exactly like she looked. You're supposed to wear a mask indoors. She had mask mag look and mask mag voice.
Tarzan.
Weekdays at 2. There's a type. She wants to tell people what to do. Yeah. On KFI.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome to a wet Tuesday morning. Haven't been able to say that for a while. Some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Johnson & Johnson has asked the FDA to authorize a booster shot for its COVID-19 vaccine. Data from J&J shows a booster shot given 6 months after the primary shot increases the antibodies 9-fold.